So day one is over and done with, and we're on to day two of the Cheltenham Festival. And as part of our build-up here at Timeform Towers, I've managed to snag a Timeform expert for a Facebook live stream. I've got Adam Brookes alongside me. He's going to talk through today's card and hopefully give us a pick in each of today's races. So, how are we, Adam?
Yeah, good, thanks. Plenty to get through, isn't there? But yeah, looking forward to another cracking day's racing.
Yeah, how'd you get on yesterday? Loads and loads of winners.
In the Timeform tipping competition, I nailed LTR. Apple's Jade as well, just to keep it ticking over, but someone fluked LeBake in the first race, so we're up against it, aren't we?
Yeah, 19 points in the clear, which probably shows you the sort of characters we're up against.
Yeah, I'll be looking for every confirmed non-runner if I had to do that one, just to save the points, I think.
19 that's a big, healthy lead, that. So we'll get straight into it. I was thinking that we'd do just run through the card as quick as we can, which means the first race of today is the Neptune, of course, and as always, it seems quite a hot contest. This Neon Wolf is the 2-1 favourite. Where do you stand in terms of this race?
He's very clearly a very high quality horse. We're just looking at the prices, aren't we? That's the thing, and he's 7-4, 15-8, whereas Bacardi's, who has been there, done that, won a Grade 1 last time. He's 7-2. He's narrowly top rated. He's a horse with probably just as much potential, certainly over this kind of trip. So at the prices, I'd kind of be favouring him. Neon Wolf is going up in trip, but he was a point winner over in Ireland, so you'd think he'd stay this far. Bacardi's, I'd be more convinced that he'd relish this trip. He was strong in the Champion Bumper last year when he was third, and also that in the Deloitte last time he was very strong in the finish when he beat Bunkoff early. Bunkoff early was disappointing yesterday in the Supreme, which cast a bit of a slight doubt over that form. But Willie Mullins has obviously got a good record in this, won it 4 times. Forheen and York Hill last year, and Ruby appears to have chosen him, and I just think the extra distance is really going to suit him. But Bon Papa's done nothing wrong in a few starts. He's got a large P for the same yard, so he's very interesting, and it is an open race, but those two really do set a good standard, and at the prices I just think Bacardi's offers a bit more value.
So Bacardi's for Adam in the first race here. Straight on to the second race, the RSA, and it's another wide open contest, this, and at the top of the market is Might Buy to at 7-2. Really, was unlucky not to win a Grade 1 at Kempton over Christmas. He's followed up since in a bit of a nothing race at Doncaster, winning by 99 lengths. Is he the one to beat, or do you prefer someone else in this?
Well, he's the one to beat on form in terms of Timeform rating. I think he's £5 clear of Alpha Desobo, who has more questions to answer. Obviously, he bled last time, I think. So it's just the makeup of the race. There's so many front runners in the race. Might Bite's one of them. Acapella Bourgeois is obviously going to be making the runnings. He did that last time and won by a wide margin. Alpha Desobo himself usually races prominently, so maybe it might be one to sort of back something that's going to pick up a few pieces. I know Whisper's kind of popular with a lot of the guys in the office, but is he a strong enough stayer to really pick up those pieces and even win? I don't know. If our Kempfer was a much bigger price, I'd be tempted to throw a few quid at him, but there's not much juice in his price. So I don't know, it's really tricky actually. Timeform rating suggests that Might Buy is very much the one to beat, but you just got a sneaking feeling with him that maybe he's best on a flat track. So this is something new for him today. That Kempton race has worked out well. Royal Vacation come out and won the Timeform Novices Handicap at Cheltenham, didn't he? So it looks strong form. There's just something in the back of my mind suggesting that, especially if they get him going early, is he going to be as strong in the finish as some of them? So I really don't know. I've been watching the market for Alpha Desobo, obviously. Mouse Morris really knows how to bring them right at the festival, and he was second in the World Hurdle last year. He's just been a bit hit and miss over fences. He won a Grade 2, and then he was a little bit disappointing when he was third next time, and then he pulled up last time. They've given him the break. So if he's solid in the market, I'd be narrowly favouring him, but it's a very difficult race. Maybe our Kempfer to sneak into the frame, but I don't think you're playing for the first place with him, so it's very difficult. As a Timeform tip, I think the tip would have to be Might Buy because he sets the standard, but just with a caveat that if they get him going early, it might soften him up in the closing stages.
Okay, so a tentative sort of sway towards Might Buy, but plenty in with a chance here. And moving on to the third race of the day, and arguably one of the most difficult races of the entire Cheltenham Festival, the notorious Coral Cup. We've got a 4-1 favourite actually in Tombstone, but plenty in opposition. Where do you stand with Tombstone? He was a talented novice last year, but is he going to find it tough off such a high weight in this?
Well, the market suggests not, and obviously Gordon Elliott was thriving yesterday, 3 winners. And the thing is, this horse was going to be supplemented for the champion. It seems they were toying with that idea, but now he goes up in trip here. So that is a question mark, him going up in trip. I don't think he's ever run over further than 2.25 miles, maybe. Tin Soldier, another one from Ireland, from Willie Mullins, is prominent in the betting. But I like Peregrine Run. I think, you know, most people have spotted the fact that he beat Holstone and West Approach in that race. Now, either they weren't at their best on the day, or they've been improved since. But there's a chance that he just beat them fair and square on the day, off level weights. And then he was behind Willoughby Court, who runs in the Neptune next time at Warwick. I think the ground was just too soft for him there. Back on better ground, he's on a decent mark off 142, and around 9-1 I think he's very solid. At a big price, I know the lads fancy Taquin de Soy, a lot of them. He's Timeform top rated. He caught the eye at Chepstow in that Ballyoptic race on his return. He won the JLT a few years ago, so yes, he's long in the tooth now, but potentially off 148 he's off quite a generous mark, so I think he's about 18-1, so a few quid on him, but I think the main bet on Peregrine Run for me.
So interesting, a 9-1 fancy for Adam Brookes in the Coral Cup. So moving on to the feature race of the second day here at Cheltenham and the Champion Chase, and I thought we'd go through this one runner by runner, and it's quite fitting really that number 1 on the card is Douvan, who has set all before him so far. Where do you stand as Douvan? Is he one of the greats, and can anything stop him here today? How would you be playing this race?
I don't think you can take him on. You can't really back anything to beat him, I don't think. I think you're looking more in the without Douvan market, or maybe the each way market, and we'll come to probably my fancy in a minute. But yeah, 14 on the bounce since he got beat over by Connie Dax over in France, which is a quiz question, isn't it, for the future, who beat Douvan. But he is the highest rated horse, I think, in training, 182p, and there's potential for more to come. So he's a very, very exciting prospect, as we all know, and I just think I can't see anything beating him, can't see anything getting close to him. And then you've got Fox Norton, who is the favourite in that without Douvan market. And I think he is second in on the ratings, but only narrowly. Now, he faced a stiff task trying to give £5 to Altior last time, and obviously he'd been much improved on his first 2 starts back, first for Neil Mulholland and then for Colin Tizard. So he's a very likeable horse and a high quality one. I just wonder whether if they do go fast with some of these others in the race, Garde La Victoire, Special Tiara, maybe it might be God's Own who picks up that second spot. But third in the race card is Garde La Victoire, a very solid front runner, versatile, goes back over hurdles, come back over fences, won last time. He'll give his running, but I'm not sure that's going to be good enough even to get in the first 3. And then we've got God's Own, who would be my pick without Douvan, or possibly an even each way bet, but I don't think you're betting. You're not including the winners part of that, because I think Douvan's home and host. But God's Own won a couple of Grade 1s last year, beat Vautour, didn't he, over in Punchestown, and has been just ticking over quite nicely. I don't think he stayed 21 furlongs on his penultimate start. Back to form behind Undersow last time. I just think he might be a stronger stayer in the finish than Fox Norton, and getting up that hill he might be the one that finishes second. Simply Ned, he's kind of exposed at not quite up to this level. So Valentino, stablemate of God's Own, been in good form this year, but another one that might not be up to it. Sizing Granite was a good horse we're talking about in his youth. Won a Grade 1 at Aintree as a novice, but hasn't done anything really in 2 starts for Colin Tizard. Special Tiara's been there and done it most years. He was, I think, he's third the last 2 years, but he hasn't quite looked the same horse this year. And when he won 2 starts ago, he beat Sir Valentino, but Sir Valentino was giving him plenty of weight that day, so he ought to have won. I think Top Gamble's a big price at 50-1, considering he's not far off the second sort of level of these horses. He's a pretty consistent horse as well. He's been supplemented for the race, so he's clearly in good form at home. He's a big price each way, and then Traffic Floride at the bottom, who's got that query as a rating just because he seems to have lost his form after that big break. He hasn't quite come back in the same form yet, so all things considered, I can't see Douvan getting beat, but I think the bet is probably God's Own without Douvan at around 3-1.
So, to touch on God's Own quickly, do you think the way he's been campaigned this season, is he a spring horse? Do you think he's been campaigned with, Cheltenham and then Aintree and perhaps even Punchestown in mind again this year? I think they've been a bit delicate with the way that they've put him out so far.
Yeah, I think his past sort of history suggests that he does thrive at this time of year, but I think he's been doing his best in those races. I'll just say I don't think he stayed 21 furlongs a couple of starts back, and that's kind of been hinted at in his past that he doesn't quite stay this far, so I was kind of hoping they'd ran him in this race rather than the Ryanair, so I think it's good that he's in here. And then he wasn't beaten far by Undersow last time, so he was never going to beat Undersow in the Tingle Creek, but it was a good solid effort over 2 miles. And I think he'll be one of the ones that's playing their hand late. I think, Garde la Victoire will go forward, Special Tiara definitely. Douvan will just sit in behind, he'll kick on. And then I think something else will pick off the pieces and track and finish behind Douvan. And I think that horse is probably going to be God's Own. So 3-1, I think there's a bit of juice in there backing him without Douvan.
So Douvan, unsurprisingly, the selection in the champion chase, but God's Own the value without either in the without or each way. So on to what is the hipsters race, I think, of the Cheltenham Festival, the cross country. A bit of a tricky one to sort of decipher this at the best of times. Who do you like in this race?
Well, I think Cantlow is the obvious one. His Timeform top rated. He was only 10th in this race last year, in the days when he had a squiggle attached to his rating, but he's turned inside out since, hasn't he? And he's become a real specialist in these races. So, yeah, I think he's the most obvious winner. But you've got Auvergnat, who is more of a lightly race type, on his way up, 5 years younger than old Cantlow. He's a horse in focus, he's got the P, he's not far behind on the rating, £7. So he's a contender, but it's a very difficult race. It's not a sort of race I'd be getting stuck into. You got old Any Currency, won the race last year, then got stripped of it. Hopefully, better luck for him. Bless the Wings was promoted to second last year. He's having another go. And Davy Russell's a jockey uplift on the race card, so that's quite significant. And also, obviously, Ender Bolger's got a good record in the race. I think won it 4 times. But Philip Hobbs won it twice with Balthazar King, and he's got Sausalito Sunrise, who's making his debut in these kind of races. And he actually shaped better than the result last time. He was beaten a long way, but he went well for a long way in that race. So he's another contender. So it'll have to be Cantlow, just because we know he's probably going to give his running and he's a specialist in these races. But a sneaky suspicion that Sausalito Sunrise might run a big race at a bigger price.
So Sausalito Sunrise is the one to go for each way, but Cantlow the selection. And it gets no easier really here. And the second last race of the day is the Fred Winter, as competitive as it gets, really. Divine Bear, I think that's the pronunciation, isn't it?
I'll take your words for it, I guess so.
I just want to say Diving Bear. I just have an image of a bear on a dive board. But he's the 92 favourite. Is he the best chance here, or is it worth looking further down the market each way in this sort of race?
I think you've got to really. He's top weight, and there'll be some real lurkers in the race. It's just a matter of finding them. It's wide open as ever. Paul Nicholls is usually the go-to man, isn't he, in this race? He's got 2 this year, Dreamcatching and Dolos. Dreamcatching is the one that comes into the race on the back of a wide margin win, and Dolos has been disappointing since he won on his first start for Nicholls, but suspicion that he could still have more to offer. So around sort of 10, 11 to 1, I think he's interesting. The real one that's overpriced, and that's probably because he may not be going on, he might prefer softer ground, but Poker Play is Timeform top rated actually, and that's based on his last, his first run in Britain for David Pipe. He cost €280,000 from France. He's a horse in focus too. He looks a really big horse that's probably going to be a future chaser. But I don't know what quite went wrong on his first start for David Pipe. I think behind Fidux, who's also in this race. But maybe he just needed that run, and we're going to see better from him. I think Pipe won this race. I think Gasparo won it several years ago. So around 20 to 1. If it is the ground, then fair enough. But if he's going to improve on that run, I think he's probably overpriced. Project Blue Book was a bit disappointing last time, but they quickly then switched his target to the Fred Winter. He's only had a few starts in the JP McManus colours, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's money for him. Dom Perignon de Lys is interesting. I say Dreamcatcher. Nietzsche's a horse that's been in really good form, and he's a massive price at 25 to 1. He had some good flat form, he's high cruising speed. I'm sure there's horses we haven't mentioned just because it's so wide open. But if I had to plump for one at the prices, Poker Play maybe each way, hoping that he is going to go on this better ground. Yeah, but I don't know. What do you think, Nick? It's a wide open race, isn't it?
I'm just desperate to throw out a Nietzsche pun, really. A philosophical ride, I think, is what he needs
to.
But
the best I can do. I'm not got anything for that.
But yeah, I've followed him because he's a bit of a Northern Raider, isn't he? I remember him winning at Catterick quite impressively. I mean, he'll have to improve on that to get involved. But yeah, I think that's the sort of play you'd have to go for in this sort of race. But Dom Perignon de Lys, another one I think that's the one I've gone with in the tipping competition. But yeah,
he's only £1 behind the top rated Poker Play, and he's got that P, and he comes in the back to the race on the back of a win. But he's always been a strong traveller, hasn't he? Even since his flat days, I remember sort of seeing him on the flat. I think he was with William Haggis to start out with. He's always been a strong traveller. He wears the hood, so maybe this kind of scenario, big fields, lightly strong pace, is going to play into his hands. So yeah, 25 to 1. He's a horse in focus as well. Wouldn't put anyone off having a couple of quid at him, on him.
So wide open that one, and the last race of the day is no easier at all. It's the champion bumper. Now, a lot of these horses are, it's very difficult because some of these are sort of kept wrapped in cotton wool and do a lot of improving at home. But Carter McKay is one that's had a lot of hype about him so far for Willie Mullins, who traditionally does well in this race. Yeah. He's the 5-1 favourite. Has he shown enough to warrant favouritism, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. He's Timeform top rated. So he's got that in his favour. He's a horse in focus. He's 2 from 2 since being bought from running points. He did running points, didn't he? 160 grand the connections paid for him. He sort of carries his tail a bit awkwardly. He carries his tail quite high in his races. I'm not sure what that's about, but he obviously has got plenty of ability. It was a bit of a funny race last time. It was a slowly run race. He was in front, probably in the right place, but then he quickened clear, quite impressive fashion, and then kind of won on the bridle, basically. This is obviously going to be a different test, big field. But like you say, Willie Mullins has won it 8 times, I think. He's got 4 in the race, and you'd imagine Patrick Mullins usually gets the pick, judging the fact that he's ridden most of them in Irish points that are often confined to sort of amateur riders. So Ruby has ridden a winner for him in this race before. I think Briar Hills, might have been him at a massive price, wasn't he? Ruby rode him in this race. But I think Carter McKay's the one to first concentrate on. You can understand why he's favourite. There's been a bit of a gamble on Cause to Yours, hasn't there, for Dan Skelton? And he's got the large P attached to his rating, so he's only had 1 run under rules and won it impressively. He unseated, I think, late on in his point race before that. So he's massively open to improvement. The yard are going really well, so the money for him is significant. But there's just so many. It's very difficult. Remember Q Card winning this race at a massive price, didn't he, as a 4-year-old? About 40 to 1 or something. So it's a very difficult race to have a strong opinion in. I think Fayone, the mare from the Informed Gordon Elliott yard, is quite interesting. The only problem is her wide margin win last time was on heavy ground, so you're not quite sure how she's going to transfer her ability to this ground. But in terms of ratings, she's right up there, and she's a horse in focus, and I think she's a big price, and she's got Jamie Codd on board, so she might be one that's kind of overpriced. You've got West Coast Time, shouldn't really beat Carter McKay based on that Nace running, but he might run well. He's got a really good pedigree. The Dam Refinement, I'm old enough to remember her running. Yeah, exactly. I know. I do feel quite old actually these days. But she was second in the mare's hurdle. She was third in what's now the Neptune. So she ran well at the festival, and he won on his debut. And then he was beaten by Carter McKay with no obvious excuse. So he shouldn't really reverse the form. But Joseph O'Brien's probably been primed for this race, and David Russell in the saddle, which is quite interesting. So another one to consider. But there's so many. Next Destination, 1 from 1. Ruby's on board. Backmadge, there's been a bit of money for him for the same connections that won with Tully East yesterday. So there is so many to consider. I don't want to be obvious, but Carter McKay's the one to beat. A respect Cause to Yours with the money behind him. If you want one at a big price, maybe the mare Fayone, and just hope that she transfers that heavy ground form to these quicker conditions. But if this is the getting out of jail stakes, I think I'm in trouble really. But we'll see what happens.
So drop a pin in the last and the champion bumper. That's the Timeform view.
Unfortunately, probably.
Okay, well, cheers for joining me, and hopefully there's plenty of winners in there.
Yeah, Peregrine Run I think would be the best bet for me of the day. I know he's 9 to 1 in a big field is probably not overly generous, but that form of beating Holstone and West Approach back on better ground, I'm sure he'll go close. Hopefully he'll get the breaks. He's a strong traveller, so around 9 to 1 I think you could do worse than him on the day.
Belting, well, it's Duvan for me in the champion chase, so thank you very much. And it's Jamie Lynch I think tomorrow, so
right.
Come back same time tomorrow.